This land was once scorched by battle, and felt the hooves of war upon its back. Many generations have passed, and children now grow and laugh, never having known our sacrifice. We are the heroes of the past. You are the heroes of tomorrow.
So, how can we get started?
So you should join our guild. You have to fill out an application, but probably be okay because real life friends are given priority. And we have to get you a disc, and you have to join our particular server in the United States. But it's pretty easy. From the first 5 minutes, you'll be playing and finding lots of people to quest with, and it's really not that hard to get in, and it's really not nearly as dangerous as people seem to think. I mean, you can get obsessed with it just like you can get obsessed with jogging or going to church, but most people, I think, play it in a balanced way.
We were talking before about leadership and people who get into World of Warcraft, and my initial thing was like, hey, I should be pretty good at this, getting into it. What are people like there? What changes between real life people and their jobs, and what are they like online?
Well, obviously there are different guilds. There are certain guilds that are all policemen, all the same people from work, and those are different. The average World of Warcraft player rarely uses like blogs or even email, and they don't really give a shit what you do in real life. I mean, are you nice in game? Do you listen? Are you helpful? Are you generous? And so you kind of have to reset. And so a lot of people who come in who are already privileged in real life, or who have an MBA or have a degree in psychology, who want to use their real life foo inside of the game, are very disappointed because people don't really care what you are in real life most of the time. And so so leadership and the game is about having fun, right? So it's a lot more like open source, where you're trying to get 40 people to come to a raid because they want to, not because they're getting paid. And that's why I think a lot of leadership comes from running organizations where people are getting paid and they're working for you because they're supposed to, right? And you have authority that's been granted to you, and so on. So I think generally CEOs and people who have MBAs typically are bad leaders in World of Warcraft, and even if I think there's a lot of parallels with congregations and like knitting clubs and other things where it's a shared activity that people come together and only there because they want to be there. And also, I think what I like about the World of Warcraft is that you also don't necessarily have to be super educated or super literate. And what you find is that a lot of these people who, in real life, you might not have an opportunity to interact with, end up becoming the most generous people or the best leaders. You find that a lot of, like our raid leaders, a nurse, and she's in charge of organizing these huge things. And it has a lot to do with being able to listen to people and kind of understand people. And it's amazing how in big companies that's not necessarily a required trait to become kind of a recognized CEO. You can sort of order your way around.
So what mixture of people you got in your guild?
It's pretty diverse. I mean, our guild is, we've got unemployed bartenders, we've got real life priests, we've got nurses and ambulance drivers, and we've got CEOs as well, but we've got, and we've got soldiers in Iraq, we've got former criminals, and it's a very, very diverse group, but yeah, so our guild is pretty serious, but there are a lot of other really funny guilds, and so there's a guild by the Pink Ponies called the Gay Bar, which is actually pretty funny. You should watch that.
Okay, let's have a look.
Okay.
Take you to a gay bar. I wanna take you to a gay bar. I wanna take you to a gay bar, gay bar, gay bar. Let's start a war. Start a nuclear war. At the gay bar, gay bar, gay bar. Wow!
So the diversity is
where's the trust based in World of Warcraft? If I have a classical business conversation, if I'm talking to somebody, I'm talking face to face, and a lot of topics or a lot of emotions are just delivered over the face to face or over the kind of movement you're delivering to me. What is giving you the trust in World of Warcraft to work together with these people and to trust in the people, to believe in the people, to fight against dragons or?
Right. Well, a lot of it is, you know, you spend a lot of time committed.
So you
right?
even trade money, do you?
Well, first of all, I've talked to a lot of my friends, like with Sean Fanning, we talk about Warcraft a lot because I'm invested in his company now that's doing this game stuff. But some of the things that I have in the game are more important than any physical toy or gadget I have in the real world, because you can't buy some of these things. Like some of the items that I have are a result of going with 40 people every weekend for a year and finally getting that piece, which I can never buy. It's not like you can go out and buy a camera, right? And so to me, that item in the game is more important than just about any thing I own, you know. And so in that sense, and those people who were there committed to help you do this, right? And also what's important is that sometimes two people are eligible to get something, and so you have the opportunity to be very greedy. And when somebody isn't greedy or is generous, you know, then suddenly you get trust and you get a bond. And so I think a lot of the trust is built up by the game gives you an opportunity to be a real jerk or really, really nice. And like you said, because there's no context, when somebody shows generosity, suddenly it kind of is a lot more apparent. And the guilds get tighter and tighter and tighter because it's a whole bunch of people who really, really trust each other. And I probably trust the people in my guild, many who I don't even know, more than just about any other community of people that I know, much more than my business community. Business community, I trust them not to do things that are not in their business interest, which is, yes, they're predictable. But would I trust them with my life? Would I trust them to come flying across the country when I'm in trouble or when I'm depressed? Probably not. I mean, if they thought...
But you would trust the World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I think a lot of the players in my guild... I mean, like if somebody doesn't log in for a couple of days, everyone gets really, really sincerely worried, and some people even travel and drive for hours and hours to check if they're okay, you know. And you get this, and it is kind of like a congregation or a church, you know. You get people to come together who bond, who have a shared activity, whose main purpose it is just each other. Whereas in a business, you build those relationships, but and I can't say one is more than the other, but I think that it's amazing how much bonding there is, and especially across this diverse channel, right? Where you get our priest is worried about some person who's halfway across the world in a completely different place, in a completely different context, and that's actually part of the excitement. And I've never sat down and talked to a soldier who's about to go to Iraq about why he's going, and then talking to him about, you know, when he's coming back, and then the wife of that soldier and how she's dealing with it and stuff like that. And you chat about these things while you sit around killing orcs.
Cool. So maybe you could organize like a DLD guild.
A DLD guild, yeah.
That's a good idea.
You will be one in there. Can convince a lot of people out of our conference fighting against other guilds. Maybe we can convince some other conference people to build guilds, whatever.
Fighting against each other. But yeah, you would still be amazed. Contrary to what you say, a lot of people actually play. And they don't necessarily say it. So like when you go to a dinner in Silicon Valley, I'll start talking about Warcraft, and then three other people start talking about it, and everyone goes, I didn't know you played. And they're like, what? You never asked. You know, and it's actually becoming kind of like this secret thing.
Yeah.
And so I think because it's 8 million people playing, that's a lot of people. And if you consider that it's a certain kind of, you know, it's diverse, but it's still, I think if you look at the tech community, then the percentage is pretty high.
As a last question, what are the business opportunities around this? I mean, you know, you hear about, you know, what's going on in China, which I don't know if I would consider that a business opportunity, but it's a beginning of something.
Right.
Where I mean, you know, the social sites, but within the game, what are the businesses?
Well, I think that within the game, it's hard to have a business opportunity because Blizzard has a pretty specific business model, and you know they're not looking for a lot of outside partnerships for it. I think the real business opportunity is kind of more long term, which is you look at the people who are playing Warcraft, who are on TeamSpeak all day long, who are building add-ons or building these community sites, and their behavior and their interaction and basically the way that they interact with the online world is changing, because the Warcraft interface is very different from the web interface. So in a sense, you imagine, well, what if you start building services for those people? It's different, right? Suddenly when these kids who are playing World of Warcraft suddenly become managers, they're going to want a dashboard in their office that looks like a Warcraft page, or they're going to want always on audio. They're going to want to be able to put together 40 people for a project ad hoc. You know, they're not going to want meetings scheduled in kind of delineated time and space. Like, I mean, so there's a lot of process management, group leadership, interface design, lots of things that people get used to and learn playing the game, which I think will apply now to software design, interface design, organization design.